welcome back to the nail station. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be making a little bit more of a defined line for our bling nails. Now these are cute and everything, and I'm quite enjoying them. They would grow out really easily because there's not a hard defined line here as a smile line. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys an old school technique called backfilling, and I'm going to use, where did it go? Here it is, my spaceship. All right, so we're going to be using a spaceship. I'm sure everybody from back in the day, we all remember the spaceship backfill bit, right? So the one I'm using here is KUPA. It is diamond, and these are the other things I am going to be using. So here's a shot of my desk. Now, sometimes I show you guys certain things, and then I decide for one reason or another it's not going to get used in the video. Maybe I didn't need it, but I like to put everything out because this is what I'm thinking I'm going to be using. I don't want to leave anything out, but then sometimes maybe I don't need everything. So anyways, we're going to dive into this. Oh, and you know what? Yeah, we need this one. Oh, yeah, glam. I need that. And I need ice, baby. Okay, we need these two. So those are going into the mix here as well too. So I'm going to show you guys everything. We're going to go through this, and I'm going to show you how to do a backfill. Backfill means trenching right along the line here. And then I'm going to go in with my Swedish white from ELEGANCE and paint a defined line. And then we're going to work it down with glam and a little bit of ice, baby, just on the top for that extra bling, kind of like a little diamond on the top. So I'm going to clear my station here. I'm going to just have the things that I will be working with, and we're going to get started. Okay, so I've cleared my station here. What I have now is I just have my wipes and my cleanser. That's always at my station no matter what. And here is our backfill bit. Okay, so it is a diamond backfill bit, as I said, from KUPA. And this is the item here, the diamond small French backfill. Now, I'm going to be using the line here to go in on the nail and create a trench. So I kind of visualize this in advance, and I come in and I come in and I come in, and so you guys are going to see me doing this in real life, but you can see that I've got, or sorry, in real speed, not real life. I've got my fulcrum. This is really important in this technique. We need that balance point. So we are going to start, when we turn the machine on, we're going to come here, 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 and then you'll see that I turn my hand, okay? So we're underneath like this. We come here, 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 and then we have this little turn, and that allows us to get into this side. It's actually quite important, or else A, you're going to be quite uneven, but B, you're not going to be able to kind of create the trench up any higher. You could go straight across, but you're not going to be able to create a smile line per se. And I do want to have a little bit of more of a happy smile here, is what I'm going for. So we're going to turn the machine on. Now, before I actually start trenching here, I do want to point out, you'll notice that I haven't filed the nail first with my sanding band. Now, the reason being is if I file the nail first with my sanding band, I don't have a good visual as to where I'm going to place that line. So this way I can actually see everything very clearly, and it makes it much easier for me. So I actually go back and do that afterwards. So it seems a little bit backwards, but for me, it works better this way. Okay, so we're going to come in. We don't have this too high of a speed. This is once again, of course, my KUPA that I'm using here. And okay, can you see what I'm doing there? I'm creating a little trench. Now I'm going to grab a little bit more speed here. I'm going to pull that tissue back there. Now on a client, this is much easier. We're going to come right in and around, just like that. And there's that little maneuver where we change it up a bit. Okay, and then we come around. All right. Now I'm going to visualize and I'm going to look and think, okay, so this is actually a little bit higher on that side. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come back into that trench. And I'm going to pull that up a bit higher. Okay. So now we're here and we're here. All right. Now it's kind of hard to tell, but that is definitely, I don't know if I can get an angle here to show you guys that, but there is a drop there. There is a trench, hence the term backfilling. Right? And let's just really make that a nice trench in there. Alright, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Pretty good, right? There. Kind of pretty. Remember to always pull that tissue back on your sideburns there. Okay. So if you wanted to, you could really, with this nice little bit, you could really go in quite high in here and create more of a competition style of a smile line. Now for today's video, I'm not going to actually do that, but you can, and it's all in that motion. So as I said before we started, the motion is going from here, going around, and then making that little change, and coming around. If you don't make that little change in there, you're not going to be able to get in those sides, and you're not going to be able to bring those your ears of your smile up. Okay, so that's what we use our little trencher for, and we're only using that one little area on this spaceship. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next segment, and I'm going to show you how we're just going to drop this down a little bit and complete our backfill. Okay. Now the traditional method when we were doing this, usually this is all about doing it in a beautiful French white. But today we're going to mix that up a little bit. We're going to use French white and we're going to use glitter, just so we can kind of keep with the theme that we've got going here, the bling theme. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and I'm just going to grab myself, this is a medium sanding band. Once again, this is the Easy Release mandrel from KUPA. And the idea now is that we are going to go in, and where we have created that trench, let's see, where's the camera? Can you guys see that trench? Yeah, maybe. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to remove more of that, but using our sanding band. So we're just going to come across, and so this whole area here is going to be dropped down. So when we look from the side, it's going to be higher up here on the nail bed area, and then it's going to drop down to a flat plane there. Okay, so let's work through this. I'm going to go slowly so that you guys can see it. Usually this procedure is pretty fast when you get practiced at it. Let's grab a little bit more speed. Okay, there we go. And you can see that where I created, so I'm not going back up into the area where I created my trench. I can kind of go in the area, but I don't need to because that part is already done for me. Okay, so you're starting to see we have a drop there. I'm going to try to help you guys see what I'm doing here. Well, hopefully I can still see what I'm doing here. Okay, can you see how that's going? think that's looking pretty good. One little area there that I'm not absolutely, well, actually it's better than I thought it was. All right, I won't bother doing anything with that. All right, so we've got that nice trench. Can you guys see that? Nice little trench there. Pretty defined. Now, this is not, well, I could take that out if we wanted to. It's not really going to matter because I am going to go back in with Bling and it's going to be covered up. But you know what? For argument's sake, let's just eliminate that. Okay, so there. Now, this is where the whole thing seems a little bit topsy-turvy, and I get that. But now what we're going to do is now we are going back, and now we're going to do our cuticle prep work. Okay, so I'm going to grab my pusher scraper here, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to just do that gentle. Don't be underneath and lifting the cuticle. Your eponychium, you don't want to be doing that, but we're going to be gentle. We're going to push back. Okay, if you want to, you can flip. You can use the scraper side. Once again, this is the KUPA Mani Pro one, if you can see that, but that's what I'm using here. Our pusher scraper. And there we go. All right. Always do this gently. We don't want to hurt anybody, and we don't want to damage any tissue. We also don't want to lift the cuticle up, because if we lift it up, potentially you can get things trapped underneath there, which potentially could end up creating some issues with infection and whatnot. So we really want to be careful. Now I'm going to go into my handy dandy trusty little under nail cleaner / cuticle bit, and I'm going to come in around here. Now this is the same thing we always do. Every service, every fill, we do this every single time. If you don't have one of these bits yet, you need to get one. You've got to get one. Now, if you're not using an e-file, okay, I get that. I mean, that makes sense. What are you going to do with the bit if you don't have an e-file? But for any of us that have an electric file, you absolutely have to do this very gentle cuticle work. So can you see how lovely that is now, right? Yeah, there we go. Just like that. So that's wonderful. I'm happy with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that off. Yeah, this is a lot of going back and forth. Now, when you're doing all 10 nails, though, you are going to keep the same bit on. So in other words, you would be doing your trenching with your spaceship. You would trench on each nail. Then you would go back and start changing, right? You don't want to be flipping your tools out all the time. That'll cost you a lot in time, for sure, of your service. Okay, so now I'm back to having my sanding band on here. I don't need high speed here. And all I want to do is remove the shine. I don't need to do anything else. I don't want to file that down, because if I file this whole thing down, then it defeats the purpose of exactly what I've done, and that was creating the trench and basically kind of the two levels here. Okay, so there we go. Let's remove the shine a tiny bit more. Get into that side. See? Okay, into the side. There you go. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. So now we're going to turn that off, and we are done with that for now. And then we're just going to use our manicure brush. We're going to dust. Always off of the nail, off of the nail. Don't go up and push debris underneath that cuticle tissue. We don't want to cause infection. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our cleanser. This is just in my little pump that I usually use, my little mushroom pump from American Nails. And we're going to wipe. Once again, pulling forward off of that free edge. We're not going to be pushing underneath that cuticle. Okay, so there we go. There we go. And okay, awesome. So now we're going to just finish up on our prep. Air bond. And we can just brush our air bond on. Now you don't need to put this over the whole nail. It's a dehydrator and it's going to be probably a little bit weight, so you can put it over the whole nail. That's totally fine. But the reality is it's not really going to help you other than just on the natural nail. Okay, and then this is the wonderful tack. Now with our tack, we're going to start right at the top. We're going to bring this down. We're going to bring this down. Okay, and then we're going to cure for 30 seconds, and then we will be back in a minute for the next segment. Okay, so here is our Swedish white. Now you can see the pigment settles. So if you haven't used it for a little while, make sure you stir it, because like look at how this is it's almost separated out, and that's very normal. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it at all. It just means pigment is heavier than the clear gel that's supporting it, and so we're just going to give it a nice stir. All right, I'm also heading the bottom here so that I'm lifting that pigment up and off of the bottom. All right, I think that should be pretty good to go now. And we're just going to take a wipe. I'm going to wipe my spatula. I want cured gel on my spatula. Okay, we can just leave that there because we might have to touch off with a brush afterwards. And now we're going to go in. So this is my 24 dance. Once again, it's What's Up. And I'm going to just take a little bit on this brush. Now I've got almost a little bead on the end there. And I'm going to put it right here, and I'm just going to pull it up into my carved out smile line. Okay, I'm going to grab it a little bit more. And once again, almost a little bead on the end there. I'm going to start in the center. I don't want to put the bead at the ear, or else it's going to be too big. This is a pretty small brush, which, if you guys can see, it's just getting in there really nicely into my carved out ledge. There we go. And I can be just a little bit heavier with this now. And I want to push a little bit more up into there. Looks a little bit low. Okay, you can see that smile line coming together. And a little bit more into here, just like that. A little bit more into here. Okay, so this is what we have done with this smile line. Actually, I'm just going to touch that back up again. All right. And if I was doing a French, I could use my light elegance brush, and I could just fill this whole area. However, that is not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is I'm just going to stroke this down a little bit. Okay. So the line is more defined there. Now, if I wanted to remove even just a little bit more, You can see that. If I wanted to remove a little bit more, I could. And I'm going to just use that little pad that I left sitting there. I guess I forgot my little brush down, didn't I? All right. Now, if we wanted to, we can leave it like this. It depends on the look you're going for. If you want to remove a little bit more, we can use just our smile line brush. Just kind of remove just a little bit more of that, just so it's kind of a little bit more defined as a line. But as it comes down, it goes a little bit more to a clear kind of look. Okay, so we put it on, we brushed it forward a little bit, just so there wasn't just kind of a little roll there, and we brushed it forward. You can remove as much or as little as you want, but we now have a defined line right there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to freeze that. So I will be back in a second. Freeze cure about 5 seconds. It's good. So we've done a freeze cure on that, and now I'm going to come in with my glam, number glam, and I'm going to just grab my gel polish brush. Make sure it's nice and clean here before we start. And I'm just going to grab, isn't that pretty? So pretty. Actually, looking at this, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a stir. You guys knew I was going to say that, right? You knew. Okay, so there. Okay. And let us just wipe our stir stick off. We don't want to have cured gel on our stir stick. And okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into that area where we left off, and we're just going to put a little bit of this over. And now we're just going to push it up a little bit just to where our line was. Now you can push this up as close or not as you want. If you want to leave kind of that little area where you can see it's still white, absolutely. Or if you want to push it right up into your trench, you can do it that way as well. Personal preference, however, whatever you want that look to come out like. Okay. I'm going to push mine up just a little bit further, so I'm not really seeing the white. Pull that skin back on the side, okay? Get in there so that you can get up right into that area. Now if you want, you can use your little brush for this, your little dance, or you can just use this. Once again, your choice. Whatever you find easiest is what I want you to do. Okay, so what do you think? Pretty, eh? I kind of like it. It's kind of pretty. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we are going to just do a quick freeze on that. Let's wipe off our brush. Then we're going to look at it and we're just going to gauge if we want more on or not. Okay, so there's our freeze cure. And we look at this and I think, here's what I see. I see that I want just a tiny bit more here. Just doesn't seem quite as dense and sparkled. So let's do a quick freeze again. Let's put that lid on. now we're going to go into Ice Baby. Now, I could leave the nail like this because, I mean, it's so pretty, isn't it? I mean, that is pretty. But I'm going to try it with a little bit of Dance Baby. Now, if I don't like it, because I have cured that, even though it's just a freeze cure, it's set into place. If I don't like it, I could take this back off again. I'm going to stir, make sure our Dance Baby is nicely stirred. Any heavy pigmented gels, you really have to stir them because the pigment does settle at the bottom, and like I say, it's almost a good thing. Then you know you have a really great pigment load. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of Ice Baby, and we're just going to go like this. I don't know, what do you think? Like Ice Baby on there? You like it better? Just a little bit more. And, oh, I think I did too much there. I don't want that much. Okay, there. I think that's good. What do you guys think? You like it? Yep. Okay, I think that's good. So let's freeze that into place. Let's move our gel. Let's put that cap on. Always make sure, be aware of your caps and your gels, because your light is here. I mean, if you were working on a client, it would be a little bit different because your curing light would be pointed in the opposite direction. But if you're doing nails on yourself, you always want to be so aware, because it's really easy to end up curing your gels. That's never fun, is it? Okay, so there we go. And I'm going to give us a good wipe there. And we are going to go into our one step now. Now, can you see where that was our trench? I'm to about the height of the trench in here. You can see that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the entire nail just with clear. We're going to use one step. Once again, when you're using your one step, you want to be a little bit faster. Dilly-dallying all day. You need to kind of be on it and be a bit quicker. Okay, and then we're just going to start up here in that cuticle area. I'm going to push it in, push it, stroke it down, push it towards the cuticle. Now you don't need to be right up to the cuticle. Why? Because we want to leave that little tiny area up there, kind of our little road, so that we can file that completely flush up in that top area. That's how our nails don't lift. Gives them great longevity. Okay. Now, looking from side to side here, okay, here's a little bit of a low spot. I can see it. I hope you guys caught it, but I can see it. And then in here, we just want to top this up just a little bit. Remember, we didn't really put our sparkle down in this area, so that area is just a little bit lower. Okay, so it's been topped up now. And let's look from this side. Okay, and I do see that right here is a little bit low on this side. So we're going to come in with a little bit of gel in here, just like that. And yep, I think that's pretty good, except for, if you can catch this, right between here and here, there's a tiny bit of a low spot. So what we're going to do is, let's see if I can show you guys this. Can you see that? And you just drag. I'm hardly touching. What does that do for me? That makes it so I don't really have any filing. Any of you guys that have trained with me in person, you know I like to not do a lot of filing. As much as I love my electric file, don't get me wrong, love the electric file, my best friend, but at the same time, I don't want to have to do a lot of extra filing, let's say. Okay, so I try to make sure everything is really nice and level, and you can see it is, right? Can you guys see that? You see how nice and level that is already? All right, if you want to, if it's not quite perfect, you can hold it upside down. You can flow your gel, all right? But this is good. I didn't even need to do that, actually. Okay, gel out of the way. And I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to do a full 30-second cure, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, so for our last segment, so I've taken that out of the light. I've cured for 30 seconds LED. I've got solution on here. I'm just going to wipe our dispersion layer off, just like that. Okay. Now, when I look at this, I think, not a lot of filing to do. Maybe a little bit, because it's not 100% perfect. None of us are that perfect, are we? Maybe. I don't know. And I'm just going to come here and go down that side. Right? Just like that. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just under and up. Let's make sure our sides are good. And we're going to just do our lower arch right here. We're going to make sure that's really nice and straight. Probably a little easier for me to show you on this side like that. Okay. This side's a little bit more awkward. But that's why we have this finish. There, that's the right way. That's why we have this finish file. It's so thin and you just can get it underneath there. Now, because this is finished filing, I am actually using the 180 side. I'm not actually using the coarser side, which is the 100. Okay. So there we go. Now, looking at this, I probably don't need to do a lot because it's already pretty darn good. So I'm going to see, if possible, if I can just buff this out, maybe with just the light elegance buffer. One sec, let me grab that buffer. Back with our buffer here. 180, 280. So obviously this side is much smoother. So I'm just going to see if I can actually just do my filing work with the coarser side of this, which is 180, which of course is not very coarse. It's 180 in a buffer. So I noticed I was quite out of the shot. I just kind of took a glance. Sorry, guys. I'm really new to doing this, as you can probably tell. So bear with me here. I'm going to try to get back into the camera zone here because I really want you to see this finished filing. So I'm going to come back in here and walk you through just finishing this up. And we want to come in here nicely on the side. Can you see how close I get in there? But this, our foamy file, doesn't have any sharp edges. We don't need to worry about that. We can come in here, in here, and around. We always want to make sure that's nice and flush in these sides. I'm going to look down the barrel. There's that little high spot. And come to the barrel. And we are going to just file out, coming down the barrel. Okay. So make sure everything is nice and smooth. Do take a really good look. Like you want to look from the side. You want to look from the other side. A little awkward position there. And you're just looking for high and low spots. And like I say, at the end, when you're pretty happy with everything, take a look and you're going to come off of this edge and just do your beveling. Okay? Just like that. Alright, so I think that's good. Hopefully you guys were able to see how little filing I actually did with that. And that is just, you know, practicing being very precise with your product application. If you keep practicing that way, instead of just putting a whole bunch of gel on and knowing you're going to go back and file it, it will actually make things a lot easier for you, and eventually it'll make your services faster. Okay, so here we are from the side, here we are down barrel, other side view, and we can see everything is nice and level, and we are really, really nice and flush in this cuticle area. We literally cannot see where that gel had stopped or started in our application. So now we're ready for our super shiny, just to put the final gloss on. My filing dust. We'll be right back. Ooh, like you can't hardly even see it, right? Okay, so I probably don't even need my dusty brush in this case, but what I am going to do is I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to wipe dust off the surface of that nail, because I don't want dust remaining, because then my super shiny is going to be shiny but lumpy. So we don't want that. Okay, so we're going to go into our super shiny. I will be right back with you. Okay, so nail is dry now. You can see we're kind of back to chalky. So we're just going to go in with super shiny. Right? Don't want too much. As I said yesterday, we don't want to be flooding everything. But can you see how that brush just, oh, you can work that right in there, hey? Oh, yeah. Okay, and just right here. And we can just bring that around. Okay, there. What do you guys think? You like it? I like it. It is pretty. Now, the other thing that I'm really tempted to do here, because I like Bling, is to maybe put some crystals just in that top cuticle area. I might do that. Now, if I do it, it's not going to be on this video because that's kind of a whole other step. So I can teach you guys how to do that as well outside of this video, so you'll have to tune in for next time. But there we go. So I'm just going to go into the light, 30-second cure on my super shiny. Now, remember with our super shiny, it is not tag free. Okay, so we do have to remove that dispersion layer. So you're going to grab a wipe, you're going to load it up with your cleanser here, and okay, so the nail is just finishing curing here, so we're just going to take our wipe, we are going to put our cleanser on there, and once we're done, should be cooking off in a second here, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, a new wipe, saturate it with our cleanser, and wipe that off. What do you guys think? Like that? Hey, I do. I think it's really cute. So that is how we do a backfill. Normally, like I say, normally it's called, you know, a French backfill is what we kind of came up with in the 1980s, 90s-ish. But today it's kind of a little bit of a bling French. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys got to learn something new, maybe a new technique, new old technique from way back when. But I enjoyed doing that. I think I'm going to do all the rest of my nails that way. I'll send you guys some photos when I'm finished.